Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing all right, Jared. Doing all right. How are you doing today?
I might be drinking.
What you
Listen.
drinking?
Oh, okay. That's less depressing than what I was gonna say. This is a Tracksuit Santa. It's a spiced holiday ale by the Columbus Brewing Company. Hey guys, sponsor us, Columbus Brewing Company. I mean, you wouldn't be our first beer sponsor, but you would be our favorite. What are we even recording? Life is pain. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Well, we're still doing the Sloopicks. This is, and actually, thank you, Austin, for bringing that up. We're releasing the Sloopicks on a Thursday. There won't be a Friday episode. So that's that. We're just doing one on the back half of the week this week because, quite frankly, at this point in the season, Jared gets tired putting out 4 episodes a week. Jared gets tired. Kyle's like, hey, are we doing 1 or 2 tonight? I was like, 1. I love college football. I love doing the podcast, but at this point in the year, Jared gets tired.
All right. Well, let's get right into it here. We are here. Just going to change this title real quick here.
Oh, did I not update the notes to your liking, Kyle? The notes that no one except you and I see.
Yeah, it is conference championship week here. So let's go ahead and start it off with Jared and I were talking about this first one here. Friday night, the Pac-12 championship game of Oregon and Washington.
It was an interesting convo because Kyle. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Before I hit record, I was talking to Jared. I'm like, here's the reason why the Pac-12 failed.
And I said, no, it's not the reason why the Pac-12 failed. It was just an early indicator that it was going to fail. They took the they took the passive role. They basically admitted the only way anyone's going to watch us is if we're the only game on. They didn't want to compete against the other conferences. They took the passive role. And like, especially considering it's a West Coast conference and like the reason Monday Night Football has to start so late is so the West Coasters can get home in time to watch it. Meanwhile, you're a West Coast conference and you're playing at 8:00 on a weekday. They don't even have the time slot to themselves. I mean, they're not against any of the other power conferences, though, I think is the point. Because like, if you look through it, the Big 12 plays at noon, SEC plays midday, and then the Big 10 plays at night. And then, of course, the ACC also plays at night, but who cares? That conference is a dead man walking. Who cares what the ACC does? Kyle just showed me actually, if I scroll through here, yeah, there it is. And anyone, if you want to pause and take a look at that, go ahead. That's what the 12-team bracket would look like. And there is only one ACC team in it.
This is every Big Ten, every fan of a Big Ten team dream here is having a member of the SEC come up north in December or November.
Can you imagine Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss playing in the shoe in December? Who is the first Pac-10 champion? Do you mean like proper proven on the field champion? Or yes. I don't know the answer to that, actually. I actually don't know the answer to that. Who won the first Pac-12 championship game? And it would have been a Pac-12 championship game, not a Pac-10 championship game. Since we're about to see the last. Hey, man, you look forward to Washington State, Oregon State next year. Coming to you live from Las Vegas or something.
So the Pac-12 started in 2011, and it was Oregon back in
Who did Oregon
2011.
beat?
They beat.
No, like back in the day, like Pac-10 OJ Simpson. I don't know. Well, okay. Oh no, Spikes Spikes knows.
That is not it.
Spikes says Washington, and it would have been the Pac-8 back then, right? I think.
Yeah. No, it was 2011.
No. Suncard asked. It was against UCLA. Suncard asked, like, no, like way back in the day. Spike says Washington in 1916, but I think that would have been the Pac-8. So technically not the first Pac-10 champion. So I think the question is, who is the first Pac-10 champion? Which is, if we're getting real picky about it, and Washington was the first and will be the last. Disagree. And on that topic, Friday night at 8:00, ABC. Oregon is taking on Washington in the Pac-12 championship game, the very last Pac-12 championship game, unless Oregon State and Washington State want to have a mid-off next year. We have Oregon, we have Washington. Kyle, Oregon, a 9.5-point favorite.
It's a lot, especially with Washington beating them early in the season. And yes, it was earlier in the season. Oregon has looked much better, and Washington maybe not as much here, but yeah, still 9.5 points seems like a lot. So I'll pick the Huskies. I'll pick the Huskies to cover here. And if you're a Buckeye fan, you're rooting for the Huskies in this game.
You are. That being said, I think Oregon destroying Washington is equally as good. So you either want Washington to win or you want Oregon to humiliate Washington. I think those are the two outcomes you're looking for if you're an Ohio State fan. 10 points feels like a huge number, especially as Kyle pointed out, considering that Washington beat Oregon just 6 weeks ago. That being said, Oregon's worst win since that loss, and when I say worst win, I mean by point spread or by point differential rather, was a 9-point victory over USC. They've been clobbering teams, is my point. I think I'll take Washington to cover, but I do still have the Ducks winning, which is not a good outcome for Ohio State. For the record, that's not what you want. Huskies find ways to win when they're down. Adversity matters. I mean, you're not wrong. That being said, Oregon literally lost the game, which is, adversity. Sun Card 19 is our guest picker. He's also down in the chat. Sun Card says, what does Vegas know that we don't? The game is literally being played in Vegas. How does the 12-0 team who beat the other team become a 9.5-point dog? Give me the guys with the W on their helmet to win and cover. I don't know why I said and cover. Surprisingly, if they win, they cover.
All right. Moving on to Saturday here. Saturday noon. The noon game, 2 noon games. First, talk about some action here, Jared. Talk about a action.
Tis the season, Kyle. Everyone's favorite time of year. The one episode a year where we talk about MAC football. Championship Sloop Pick weekend. We're actually talking a little bit of action. You've been waiting for it all year. You can start Christmas shopping starting tomorrow. This is it. This is the day everyone waits for. It's officially the holiday season. Kyle and Jared are picking a MAC game, as we do every year at this time. Kyle, we have the Miami Redhawks versus the Toledo Rockets. Would it surprise you to know that the Miami Redhawks are 10-2 and the Toledo Rockets are 11-1?
I knew about Toledo being really good this year with one loss, and that loss being the very first game against Illinois, which they barely lost. But
Yeah.
did not know about Miami. Miami doing pretty well as well. Their 2 losses is against Toledo about a month and a half ago, and then also the first game of their season where they lost pretty badly to the other Miami team.
Yeah. And yes, in the state of Ohio, Miami, Florida is the other Miami team. As Kyle pointed out, the Redhawks have been pretty good this year, but Kyle, I'm telling you right now, they've been money against the spread. They've only missed the spread 3 times this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The Rockets, early in the season, the Rockets weren't doing great against the spread, but improved in the later half of the year. I think this is a close one. I do think Toledo wins, but Miami is going to cover.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. I feel like these kind of games in action always comes down to the wire here. I'd be really surprised if one team blows out the other one here. But yeah, this should be some fun. I agree with Jared here. The Redhawks to cover, but I think Toledo will ultimately win this game.
All right, Kyle, how does Sun Card feel?
You tell me.
It's at the
I
bottom.
don't see.
It's at the bottom.
Oh,
It's at the
yeah,
bottom
yeah,
of the
at the
notes.
very bottom. Okay, I see now. 2 teams of Ohio have to drive to Detroit to play a freaking bowl game based on travel and the Battle of Toledo. I'm taking the Rockets to win and cover.
And Miami's not that far away from Detroit. But no, Sun Card's right. Listen, next year we're doing Maction in Columbus. Jared, it's cold in Columbus. Well, guess what? We're switching to indoor football league rules for this game only. We're playing it nationwide. Who's with me?
Yeah.
Somewhere there's a Big Ben. Hey, that's a word I'm not going to say on YouTube.
All right, moving on, Jared. We're going to move on to the other game at noon here. The Big 12. Big
and yes,
12, 14, 8.
It is the other game at noon.
The other game. 2 orange teams going at it here. Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas.
How can we call this the Orange Bowl? Nope, that's taken. Sorry.
13.5 point favorite for the Longhorns in this game.
13.5 fun.
Seems like a lot. It seems like a lot, and especially, yeah, that's. I ultimately picked Oklahoma State to cover here. Like I know Texas has been playing better recently, but and they need style points. They need style points. This is like in 2000.
Stop reading my notes, Kyle. I'm kidding. I know you're not.
I know.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
This is like 2014 for Ohio State, where you had to get style points in your championship game. Can Texas beat Oklahoma State 52-0? Maybe not, but I think they'll need a blowout type of game to really impress the committee. But I don't think it's going to happen. Texas will win, but Oklahoma State will cover.
Yes, sir. Fun fact, since we're talking about orange, did you know that originally the intent for Ohio State's school colors were going to be black and orange?
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. They never implemented the black and orange but that was the original intent. And then at the last second, Sun Card says, like Princeton, that's why they didn't do it. They changed it at the last second because Princeton already had black and orange and they wanted to do something unique. So, interesting little tidbit. Texas 500 against the spread this year. So, no real help there. Look at OK State. They're like I think it was one game better. I didn't write it down. I think it was literally one game better. So like 6-4 against the spread this year, right? Not a lot of help there. I really like the Cowboys in the middle part of the season. Like they started off the season terribly. Lost a real nasty game. Then like they started to find themselves in the middle of the year. Then they kind of started to slope off. I think we're still in that slope off period, unfortunately. Yeah. Zach says depends on which OK State team shows up. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be October. I don't think it's going to be October Cowboys. Unfortunately, I think that team was left in October. And as Kyle pointed out, yes. And as Kyle pointed out, Texas finds themselves outside of the top 4 spots. They find themselves well outside the top 4 spots. They can't just win this game and get into the playoffs. They either need a lot of help or they need to look damn good beating the Cowboys. Can't just beat the Cowboys, got to look good doing it. So I think there's going to be motivation to not just win, but win by a lot of points. So give me Texas, win and cover. So there's a chance for Texas. Yeah, Texas has a chance. I mean, they'll be conference champions. So, I mean, like, again, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're a Cowboy fan. On Saturday at noon, you're a Cowboy fan and you're a Miami Redhawk fan. Jared, why does the MAC game matter? Well, because one of them wears red and the other one wears blue and yellow. That's why. There's a lot of color analysis on this episode, Kyle.
All right, Sun Card says, does Jim Knowles know a guy or two in Oklahoma that can pull a string or two? I put the money on OK State to win, but that is purely out of my Buckeye fandom. In truth, Texas is a better team and will win. Maybe they will serve spiked kombucha in the locker room before the game. Texas wins and covers.
It's a Quinn Ewers joke. Isn't
Toledo is South Ann Arbor? I've always heard Toledo's like South Detroit.
Yeah, I mean that's the expression, but I think he was just tailoring it to the football podcast because that's what we're doing right here, Kyle.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, next game. Next game here, we have the AAC championship game. SMU and Tulane.
The superior A and C based conference, in my opinion. Do I actually feel that way? No. Yet. Maybe. SMU back?
Tulane,
no.
Tulane is a 3.5 point game in this matchup here. I really don't know. I really don't know. So I'm just going to.
Kyle, you're not up on your SMU lore?
I'm not. Nope.
Did you hear about what Craig James did? Remember when Twitter was fun? Kyle, do you remember when Twitter was fun? There's this glorious era of college football Twitter that I miss so much. Craig James was killing hookers. It was a good time. 5 of them.
I'm just going to pick Tulane for this one. I don't feel strongly one way or another. So I'm just going to pick Tulane to cover the 3.5 points.
Listen, it's only 3.5 points. So I'm just going to pick the winner here. And if it doesn't spread, it doesn't, if I don't get the points, I don't get the points. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the winner here. Look, Tulane is on the verge of an historical program changing victory or season. They're one game away. They win this game. They go on to a New Year's Day bowl. They can't lose it. This is program changing shit right here. You can't lose this game. You can't lose it. So I don't think they will. Highly motivated Tulane wins this, and I'll say they win it by 7. What's the Sun card say, Kyle?
How does it turn out these bowl games that one team is basically a home team? Based on the key stats, SMU has a way better team.
Time out. Sorry.
3.5.
Where is this game played? Because I have no clue.
At Tulane.
Oh, is it literally? Do they not do a neutral site for the AAC? Do they? By the way,
yeah, I think that's how what Z Spike says. I think that's how the AAC works.
He says that's how Spike said that's how the American works. I read it as that's how America works. Like, I thought Spikes was really excited about the idea of the number 1 seed hosting the game. Like, I thought he was really like putting on his patriotic hat and be like, that's how America works, damn it. And by the way, for the record, Spikes, the Spikes that I'm talking to right now, the Spikes that wrote that's how America works, to that Spikes, I say I agree.
Based on the key stat, SMU has a way better team, but it's somehow 3.5 point dog. I'm going with Vegas on this one. Tulane wins and covers.
I'm just saying, fuck neutral sites.
And the other 4:00 game here is the SEC championship game. Georgia and Alabama.
Everyone watching this on YouTube, if you agree with the sentiment, fuck neutral site games, go ahead and like this video. Thank you.
Georgia is a 5.5 point favorite in this matchup here against Alabama.
Kyle, I like to do a lot of analysis. I like to go down through the over under stats. Now, does it produce good sloop picks in the end? No, it doesn't. But do I do it anyway? Yes, I do. I like to get those stats. I like to against the spread stats, over under stats, on the road, at home stats. Although this is a neutral site, neutral sites. But listen, I didn't get into any of that on this. I got into none of that on this. I have a philosophy. I am getting an opportunity here. How often do you get the opportunity to pick Alabama, to pick Nick Saban's Alabama, and get points for doing it? I get to I get to bet on Nick Saban's Alabama as a dog? And that's underdog, not DAWG. Hey, listen, 100% of the time, if I get a chance to pick Nick Saban's Alabama as an underdog, I'm going to take it 100% of the time. Done. That's it. Bama actually does well as dogs. Listen, Alabama just does well.
Yeah, they do, and it's hard. It's hard to pick Alabama. It is just like Ohio State. It's hard to pick against Ohio State on the spreads and all that. Same thing with Alabama too. Like you'd be crazy not to when Saban is on the sidelines there. So I got Alabama to cover. I don't know who's going to win. Would not surprise me either way, to be honest. Are we going to see the Georgia that we've seen in many games where they just look like dog crap, or are we going to see the Georgia that we've seen recently that has looked at least put up a good offense here?
Here's the thing: they've fixed the Georgia offense is rolling again. The problems that existed on the Georgia offense, I think they have worked out. Their defense, on the other hand, they were getting pushed up and down the field by Georgia Tech last week.
They were.
Like I've never seen a defense fall off so hard than from 2022 Georgia to 2023 Georgia. Now the question becomes, does Alabama have the offense? Because Alabama is the opposite. So the question becomes, does Alabama have the offensive firepower to take advantage of that? And I think they do. Because if Georgia Tech has that firepower, then surely Alabama does.
But are we going to see the kind of same Alabama that squeaked out that win against a really bad Auburn team just last weekend?
But they won.
So has Georgia, but either way.
Georgia Tech's worse than Auburn. Well, I don't know if that's true. It's true. It is true. But it's a low bar.
Sun Card says here, has Kirby shaken the Saban curse? Does one win over the old boss
Spikes, I agree.
Forward? Does Saban have one last hoorah? I believe so. Bama wins and upsets Georgia.
Oh, calling for the upset. I still think Georgia wins for the record. I don't think I actually said that out loud. I think Georgia wins. But I'm just never going to pass up on a chance to pick Nick Saban as an underdog. Never going to do it. I'm not going to pass on that.
All right. Next game here. Big Ten championship game, Michigan and Iowa. Michigan is a 23.5 point favorite in this game. Too many points. I'll pick the Hawkeyes.
Kyle, once again, you know how I like to do all the analysis?
Mm-hmm.
I did none of that for this. Here's verbatim what I wrote down for this football game. Too many points, fuck Michigan.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
All right. Sun Card.
Sound logic. Thank you, Spikes.
I really dislike Michigan in white. And as nice as their home uniform is, their away uniform is terrible. Also, winged helmets are so 1950. Oh, wait. Is there a football game to discuss here? I guess the only question is, does Iowa's offense score any points? I hope at least Iowa shows all in black. I wouldn't be surprised if the final score was like 31-0. Hairballs win and cover.
I I am still picking Michigan to win this game. 23.5 just does feel like a lot of points against the incredibly stout Iowa defense. So yeah, Iowa to cover, but Michigan to win.
Final score is going to be like 24-5, something like that.
Yes, I will second that. It'll be 24-5.
All right, last game here: Louisville and Florida State. ACC championship game. Florida State is a 2.5 point favorite. I'll take the Cardinals. I think Louisville just going to have too much offensive power here, and Florida State's going to struggle here. So I got Louisville.
Kyle, I would have, because I feel like we've known this championship game for at least a couple weeks now, right? This has been locked in for a minute. Mm-hmm. I would have agreed with you last week. Watching Louisville lose to Kentucky, on the other hand, has my confidence a bit shaken in the Cardinals. So I think, like, the question becomes, was Louisville looking ahead, or did they just like crumble under the pressure? Right? Did they hold something back, or are they running on empty? And then, like, on the Florida State side, it's like, can Rudemaker actually lead Florida State to the playoffs and do something in the playoffs? But one of the things I've learned over 9 years now of college football playoffs, I feel like you don't see in the playoff era, and I don't have actual numbers to back this up, I feel like we see very little chaos on this weekend, especially out of the Power 5 conferences. I feel like we typically see very little chaos on this weekend. So, which was bad news if you're Ohio State fans, obviously. And like, if Florida State has to lose this game for, if you're an Ohio State fan and you want to get into the playoffs, it just has to happen. But against my better judgment, I'm gonna take, and the point spread's only 2.5, so I'm just gonna pick my winner here. I'm gonna take Florida State.
All right. Sun card here says, can we pause for a second and talk about how not good of a team Florida is?
Yes.
One of the powers of the mighty SEC East couldn't beat Florida State on its third string quarterback. Now we have to rely on Louisville, who just lost to Kentucky, to beat Florida State. Our pure hope for the Buckeyes and Muhammad Ali fandom. Give me Louisville to win and cover.
There you have it.
And that is all of our games here, Jared.
That is, unfortunately, all of our games. We actually got to do 7 this week, which you don't get to do too often. So that, I mean, it's nice to do 7 games. We don't need to talk about why we had to do 7 games. We don't need to talk about that part. Army Navy. Well, that's next week. And we're not going to do an entire Sloopicks episode for Army Navy. But I suppose we could talk about it. Anyone have, or do they have early lines? Could it have been this week?
For that following week?
No. They always play Army Navy like a week after.
Yeah.
Army minus 2.5. I'm gonna take Navy.
All right.
Give me 2.5 points. Take Navy. I'm gonna take Navy.
Since we have a little bit of time here, conference just straight up. Well, actually, we can pick the line here. Conference USA championship game: New Mexico State and Liberty. Liberty is a,
for the record, none of these count.
Nope, they don't. Just for fun.
And I'm totally unprepared for this.
I know.
Give me New Mexico
Liberty
State.
Is one of the last 5 undefeated teams, FYI.
Yeah, but New Mexico State has been making waves lately, I think.
They have been, haven't they?
Didn't they almost, or no, they did beat someone really good, didn't they? Or somewhat
Auburn.
good, didn't? Oh, never mind.
Not
but they
good.
destroyed Auburn.
They destroyed Auburn, but this is a team who got destroyed by Liberty earlier in the season, lost to Hawaii and Massachusetts as well. You know, I'm going to change. I got Liberty to cover.
But what's
cover that one.
What's the number?
10.
How much? 10?
Yeah.
Liberty to win, New Mexico State to cover.
Mountain West here, who's actually getting. Well, actually, no, they're not joining the Mountain West. They're just playing Mountain West.
They have a scheduling agreement.
Yeah, just like Notre Dame does with the ACC.
Basically, yeah.
Boise State and UNLV. Boise is a 2-point favorite.
I have my policy about Nick Saban and how if I get a chance to bet Nick Saban as a dog, I always take it. I have a different philosophy. Never, ever bet money on UNLV. That's another philosophy to write down. Give me Boise.
Yeah, I'll do UNLV. I'll do UNLV. And then
what are you thinking, Kyle? As if I'd have watched basically no Mountain West football this year, but I'm going to be super opinionated about it for no reason. What the hell are you thinking, Kyle? Taking UNLV.
Yeah. And the last one is the Sun Belt, Jared. Appy State and Troy. This is another one of those conferences where the better ranked,
Fun Belt,
the better team. Team with a better record
Yeah.
So it's at Troy.
The number one
Troy's
seed.
Troy's a 6.5 point favorite.
CSN card. Listen, I'm still a little salty about the Michigan game, so give me Appy State.
I feel that Troy is a really good offensive juggernaut. So I'll actually pick Troy. I'll pick Troy in this one.
Can you be a pretty good offensive juggernaut?
I think so. They have
No, I'm just saying. I feel like you're either pretty good or you're a juggernaut. Like I feel like you can't. You can't be kind. Kyle, this is purely English. I'm just saying. Like I don't feel like you can be kind of enormous, right?
Okay. Their quarterback has thrown 3,100 yards, and they have a 1,300-yard rusher as well.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a doofus? No, that's our brand here, actually.
Yes.
Kind of a doofus is just what we do here. The James Franklin of juggernauts. Good, but not great.
Those are all the games that's happening this weekend.
Or great, football. But not elite, rather. All right, those are... Kyle, we picked every single college football game today. We are overachievers.
We are.
I mean, hey, Kyle, you got any of those FCS schools? Let's lightning round the FCS games.
I gotta find it here first.
Hold on. We can get this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. I'm just trying to say stuff.
Division 2 and 3. Why am I missing FCS? What am I missing, Jared?
I don't know what you're missing. Kyle, okay, here we go. I got this. Richmond at Albany. There's no spread. Pick a winner.
I'll do Albany.
I'll go Richmond. They're the Spiders. How do you not pick Spiders? Youngstown State at Villanova. No spread.
Got to pick the Ohio team.
Go Penguins. The fighting Jim Trestles. Tennessee Chattanooga at Furman.
Furman.
I'm going Chattanooga. Sacramento State, I figured it out, versus, I'm going to say that's South Dakota. It's an SD, maybe. I don't think it's, unless there's a San Diego that's not San Diego State. But I'm going to say South Dakota. I'm going to go Sacramento State. Who do you got?
Well, there's no state after that, South Dakota.
No, that's later. That's actually the next game.
Okay. Screw it. I'll still pick South Dakota.
Okay. Mercer versus South Dakota State.
There it is. Yes. I'm gonna guess South Dakota State's undefeated.
You just pick South Dakota State. They're the Nick Saban of FCS. You shut the fuck up and you pick Bama.
The Jackrabbits, right?
That is true. I believe we have a Jackrabbits fan in the Discord server, so he'll be happy at the Jackrabbit mention on the show. Okay, Kyle, North Dakota State versus Montana State, I believe.
Oh,
I think that's Montana State.
Yeah.
Spike says yes.
That's a good. That could be a good one.
No. Yeah, you got to take the Bison. You got to take Bison.
I'll take the Bison in this one.
Montana
State's had some good teams, but yeah, I'll still pick the Bison.
Prairie versus Florida A&M. Kyle, you're not supposed to be thinking.
Good this year. I want to say A&M's good this year.
Probably. I think they've had some good teams in recent years. So based purely on that, I'm going to agree with you. Delaware versus Montana. The Grizz.
The Grizz. Give me the Grizzlies.
If one of those teams aren't, no, that is Grizz. I don't know. I think DE is Delaware. I agree with you. Give me the Grizz. And that one says SIL. So I'm going to say Southern Illinois. I don't know.
Yes.
At Idaho. Oh, Spikes says I'm correct as well. Kyle, I'm choosing Spike's affirmations over yours. Potato. I believe that is Zach's pick. Kyle, you got Southern Illinois or Idaho? The Vandals.
I got the Vandals.
Yeah. Give me the Vandals. Absolutely. Give me the Vandals. All right, Kyle. Now we've picked all of the college football games this weekend.
All right.
Such overachievers. We're the king overachievers of Ohio State podcasting. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. We did it. And if anyone tells you we didn't do it, slap them in the face and call them a Michigan fan. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's? Wait a minute. Sorry, real quick. Merch plug. I'm wearing 7071 merch right now. This is from our comic book series. The bunch of Ohio cities done up like it's a comic books, sort of done in a comic book style. So it's like, pretend like you're small. There actually are some small towns in that collection. Pretend like, no, we're not going Division 2, Spikes. This has gone on long enough. Screw it. Kyle, Kurtztown versus Slippery Rock. Give me Slippery Rock.
What?
Spikes put Division 2 games in the chat. We're picking them now. It's just Slip Rock? How is it just Slip Rock? All right, cool. Kutztown versus Slip Rock. Kutztown is the 3rd ranked team and Slip Rock is the 4th ranked team. In case you want a little bit of a tip.
I think at this point, Jared, we might as well pick the Ohio High School state championship.
Don't tempt me. Who's playing?
I guarantee. I know there's two.
Kyle.
Two teams from the MAC that are in the state championship game.
That's not possible because MAC isn't in high school.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
A different MAC
in high school.
A different MAC.
A MAC in high school. And
cool.
They are
Kyle.
Juggernauts. They are juggernauts.
Your silence on the Kutztown versus Slip Rock game is deafening. What are you hiding?
I don't want to pick Division 2 games.
I'll flip a fucking coin and pick either Slip Rock or Kutztown.
Let's just do Kutztown.
I got Slip Rock. Valdosta State versus Lenoir-Rhyne.
I guess I'll do Valdosta.
Got Lenoir-Rhyne. Grand Valley State versus Harding.
No, I know Harding. We'll do Harding.
I know Grand Valley State. Give me Grand Valley State. I'm going to say that is Central Washington versus the Colorado Mines. They play their games underground. And by the way, that's not their nickname. That's the school name, Colo Mines. Colorado School of Mines. Listen, there's a lot of mountains. There's a lot of mines. That's how that works.
I gotta go with that one.
The Colorado School of Mines. And that is MINES, just so everyone's very clear. It is not mimes. It is not mines. It is mines. I'll go with Central Washington. Spikes, if you put Division 3 in the chat, I'm timing you out. Go buy the t-shirts. 7071. Oh,
shit.
Zach beat you to it. Kyle, we're so far off the rails right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's some. Oh no. UW Whitewater still in it. Never mind.
How many Division 3 games are left?
4.
4 games? Looks like 2 games, right? No, I think it's 2 games because I think that there's already winners on that bracket. So, no, we're moving on, Kyle. We're moving on. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. T-shirts 701. That all numerically 7071.thesloopcast.com to go buy some cool Ohio-based merchandise. If you want some Sloopcast specific stuff, go to merch.thesloopcast.com. And as always, come join our Discord server, discord.thesloopcast.com. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Somewhat big news. Amari Abor is heading to the transfer portal when it opens up on Monday, per multiple reports.
Speaking of the transfer portal, Kyle, did you know, and I know you do because we were talking about it before we hit record, but for the sake of the podcast, do you know that Indiana's starting offensive line, 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen for Indiana have announced their intentions of entering the transfer portal?
Seems like a lot.
It's almost all, as a matter of fact. Statistically speaking, almost all. And one of them, I hope, becomes a Buckeye. Left tackle Carter Smith is a very big, very talented Ohio kid. It's time to come home. Time to come home, Carter Smith. That's all I'm saying.
Right, that's it.
The mothership is calling. It's time to come home.
Buckeyes play Central Michigan and Minnesota in basketball in the next few days.
Awesome. I'm not in the basketball mindset yet, Kyle.
I know.
I'm not there yet. All right, Kyle, that's the end of the show. That's the end of the show.
Go Crew. Go Crew.
Yes. Additionally,
they play, Cincinnati.
Go Crew. All right. Tonight's, like, just for the record, fuck Cincinnati, right? I mean, the soccer team. The city has some fine people, I guess. I don't know. Listen, it's the worst beer city in the state. I'll say it. Fight me about it. You won't. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of today's show. Tonight's ending music, brought to you by a band called Brat Curse. Brat Curse is a Columbus-based band. So with all that being said, and they're fun. Like they're a good listen. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to have to click the link down in the show notes to listen to the song. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, we do put the song at the end of the show. But with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. Once again, this is Brat Curse.